Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good day wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the next episode of No Dice, No Glory. Sponsored by our jobs that actually pay us money, we're coming to you not at all live from an abandoned arms factory deep under a mountain in West Virginia. We are proud to proffer to you the finest in wargaming coverage. Without any further ado, let's get this show on the road.
Hey, and we're back. Thank you, Sean. Actually, we're not back. We're here at Georgetown University, and today is what is today? Nick, you could talk, right?
Yeah, I forget it.
Look at him. He's got his thing voice on. But anyway, we're at Georgetown with the Georgetown University Wargaming Society, and with me I have the senior mentor, Nick Wenner.
Yep. Hi there, I'm Nick Werner. Nice to meet y'all.
You know, he has you have no problems talking any other time. And with us we have the brand new installed president by means of coup d'etat, Sophia Chen.
Hi, I am Sophia Chang. I'm actually a puppet head.
Yeah, pretty much, with Sebastian here. So I'm going to ask you two guys first, because these people didn't pay all this money to hear me talk. Nick, tell us what Goose is.
So Goose is a university student-led organization. It's primarily focused on putting young, upcoming wargamers in contact and getting them networking with people out there in the field, practitioners, people who are working on these sorts of wargaming issues out there in the DoD, private sector, and making those sorts of connections.
Okay. So you basically did the WS, the Wargaming Society, but this is Georgetown University. This is open to all students? Like, who could join the Georgetown University Wargaming Society? Or should we ask Sophia that question?
Well, while you're, of course, free to add anything that you think is relevant, but Georgetown University Wargaming, while it's funded through and kind of under the aegis of Georgetown Wargaming, it is open to students and pretty much anybody who's interested in pursuing wargaming, getting more involved, making these sorts of connections. We particularly encourage students, younger people,
right.
Graduate students, undergraduates to get involved.
So how long has Goose been around?
It's been around for 2 to 3 years now.
You look surprised
been about
when
4.
you say that. Yeah. So...
Oh.
No, go ahead. It's fine. Look, I've worked with animals and children, so interviewing you two guys. So Sophia, you're a sophomore. Yes?
Yes, sir. I am.
It's yes, Mitch. Oh. You are. So how did you come by to join Goose?
So Sebastian actually has a podcast.
He has a podcast.
Go check it out. I don't listen to his podcast personally.
As far as I know, he doesn't have a podcast. He's on everybody else's.
Okay, well, I found Goose through campus groups, which is horrible to use.
Yeah.
But I was interested in getting into the military side of things here at Georgetown, and this was really the only club beside ROTC, which I'm obviously not a part of.
And you didn't
No,
want to do ROTC?
I did not.
Yeah, those guys are losers, right? I mean, let's be honest here. So where did this interest come from?
So I grew up in Tennessee. I think that
Hold on, let me check. She's got no shoes on, so yeah, she's from Tennessee. Sorry, what part of Tennessee?
Nashville, Tennessee, right around the suburbs.
Yeah, okay.
And I feel like growing up in Tennessee, there were a lot of political conversations going on around me. I was particularly...
A lot of cousins getting married, too, but that's besides the point.
Indeed. I figured that it was time for me to get involved in politics, just try to figure out, what my political views were. And, through that, I sort of came to IR. I got really involved in international affairs.
IR, infrared?
No, sir. Sorry.
No Mitch.
No
yeah,
Mitch.
Yeah. So this podcast, a couple of thousand gamers are going to listen to it, and most of them are just not that bright. So when you say IR, you mean international relations.
Yes.
I'm glad it wasn't something like, itinerant refrigerators. What about, I don't want to get into a crazy discussion, politics and military, they're really two different things. But you're looking for, how we use the instruments of national power when you graduate this place?
Yeah, my family background is Taiwanese, so obviously
I've been there. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're good. Looking at how to deter China in the long term and protect American hegemony was
How would we deter China?
by building up our military.
You think so?
That's what I think, at least.
All right.
But
Well, I'll tell you what. We got to get her over to Indo-PACOM sometime, don't we?
Yeah, get her on that shipbuilding program.
Yeah, and that shipbuilding program too. So as you became involved with this club, what about Goose really kind of interested you to a point where you did a soft velvet glove takeover of it, became its president?
now, Nick sort of touched on this. Obviously, he's in it just to make connections, but I think that the community aspect here was really great. It was really welcoming, having game nights and getting to talk to professionals in a relaxed environment.
So bring up a great point. One thing that Nick missed, and I kind of said, is where are we? What is this event called? People will hear the cacophony of the background here. We're at a Georgetown University game night, aren't we?
Yes, indeed, we are. We are at one of our semi-monthly war game nights, and these are open invites to anybody in the DC area. We get together with no particular games in mind, and we just have people bring whatever they want to play and whatever they want to table, and we get 6 or 7 tables going, order some pizza, and we just have a great time making those connections, bringing new people in, showing them what wargaming can be about.
Now, it's not just wargaming, right?
It's some wargaming, it's some more commercial games, stuff like Here to Slay.
Well, I was going to ask, Sophie, what did
Diplomacy.
you play today?
Today, I actually played Here to Slay, which is a really adorable
It
game.
is an amazing game. I played it once. I got it shipped overnight, and I played it the next day. And I got most of the expansions. It is an amazing game. Okay, what else?
One of the other games that I wish I could have played today, but I got really sucked into beating the people at my table, was Shores of Tripoli.
Oh, it's a hack game written by hacks. Yeah, Kevin does not listen to this podcast. No, look, everybody knows I love Kevin, and he's my. I love him in a very non-sexual way, but if we were in prison together, I'd be totally into that. What are some of the war games that Goose has put on your radar that you wouldn't have seen otherwise?
For me personally, there's been countless games that I never would have heard of.
What is now one of your favorite games? You can't even think
I
about
love
it.
particularly the Coin series, which I just played with Mitch here earlier today.
What did we play today?
We played Cuba Libre.
Who won that
I
game?
lost fairly spectacularly to the government forces led by a car out of IDA.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, I've never beaten him, and even when I cheat, I just can't beat him. The Coin series, Vocal Run Key series, amazing series. Fire in the Lake. We play Cuba Libre. I think there's 5 that they've put out so far. What is one game, Sophia, that's now on your radar that you never heard of before?
Beyond PAX Premier and some of the commercial games that you otherwise wouldn't really hear about as much, I've really been enjoying a lot of the games that Sebastian and students have actually been making. So I enjoyed.
I mean those hacks, yeah. No, just kidding. like what are some of them? You play Thor's Hammer yet?
Yes, and the Splendid Failure, which was an amazing game. It's about the political situation in America in the Reconstruction era.
So that was from the graduate course from last year.
Mitch.
We had an article about it.
Yeah.
And so I knew 2 guys that played it. They didn't like it that much. I mean, look, not every game's great. The guys that did Thor's Hammer, that was sponsored by Jim Sterrett, who, by the way, you're in his slot next Tuesday when this comes out. Because I was supposed to have him and the guys from Sam's talk about how they use Root.
What a downgrade.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Another great title. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that edition.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. So what about some of the more commercial games? Like, what is your game library? If we were to break into your house, what would we see on the shelves there?
Ooh.
Nick?
For me.
Are you ready to break into our house?
I'm not ready to break into anybody's house. Not at
Please
this
don't.
stage of my life. Maybe if they have a really good game collection, like I know Sophia does.
Yeah.
But I need to hear her answer before I break into
Let me hear what you have in your house.
I don't have many games at home. I actually just, and you guys didn't hear this from me, but I steal a lot of games from the Board Games Club, and also from Sebastian's personal house and collection.
You went to that's I'll tell you what, I can't say it here because then Sebastian will find out. He'll get really upset. Well, and that's the thing about a lot of these games that you need multiple people to play these games. Like the coin game, you need you and 3 people that you may or may not know very well, but you need other people to play. So, and I said to my buddy Kurt over here, he goes, I want to get this game. I want to get Cuba Libre. I go, I'll lend it to you anytime because there's a social aspect to games too. Some games we learn. All I learned today, it reinforced learning. Never play games with card. You're hard to beat, my man.
At least if you want to win.
I'll tell you what, he's a good game player. But and it's there's 2 aspects to every game that we sit down and play, and I'll ask you guys what you think. One is, holy moly, we can learn something from these games. Like Here I Slay. Yeah, I'm not going to fight monsters, but the beauty of that game is the status tracking and understanding what's going on. And as you start killing monsters, when to apply those effects, and also how to block the other players. So you learn stuff from every game you play. Every game has unique mechanics. And then you have the social aspect of it. What do you guys think about what gaming kind of brings about within its own little, ecosystem?
I think that you're absolutely right, Mitch.
I usually am, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, let me flip the script and say that you're absolutely wrong. I'm just kidding.
No. That's fine. It's fine. We love dissent here.
But no, I absolutely do agree. There is a lot of stuff that we can get out of just gaming, wargaming, commercial games, no matter what. Just that overall kind of getting your reps and sets in.
Yeah.
Like thinking strategically, thinking one or 2 steps ahead. Not only thinking about what's in your hand, thinking about what everyone else is doing. And that's why I like particularly games that have 4 or more players, not just the...
Cuba Libre was awesome. And that last propaganda card was the last card in the deck. And I'll tell you what, it made that game really tense.
Thinking about what are the cards that are still in play. Thinking about, okay, if I play this now, because I really need this effect now, it's going to hamper my ability to cash in on this next really juicy card that I can see lining up. So I think the learning aspect is real. Sometimes it's very hard to quantify and kind of put your finger on, but just gain those sort of practice in. In addition, in a very casual, relaxed environment mostly.
I was actually expecting you to say, well, you're wrong, because games should also be fun.
They should be fun, they should be educational or analytical, at least one of those things.
And, even in professional gaming, and I'm pointing... card. Nobody can see that, but they should be fun, and the reason is because I think if your players get into it and buy into the game, they're not going to do what they usually do, is fight the scenario, fight the rule system. They're going to become immersed, and we need them making decisions like they're immersed in the game. So I think fun plays an element. Sophia, we've been talking. What do you think?
I think that on one hand, while fun is certainly an important aspect in trying to get people to pay attention and actually play your game, more importantly, does the war game accomplish what you want it to do, which is to educate? And sometimes it does, and that doesn't mean that it'll be fun. It'll mean that the war game is volatile.
So let me explain. Let me ask a follow-up question. Here I Slay, does that fall into that category?
I certainly think it's fun. I wouldn't say that's necessarily educational.
Well, what is the player what is the designer of that game trying to impart to the players that play it? I'm going somewhere with this, trust me.
I don't feel like there was anything in particular. Maybe looking 2 or 3 rounds into the future, thinking about what your general strategy is. But Here I Slay doesn't really force you to think too hard about what other players have in their hands, because depending on how many players at least there are in the game, people are going to react to each other, and you can't account for everybody in the game.
Well, a good answer always is a lot of games are there to make money, but I would say even in a game where you have to have situational awareness, I think there's stuff to learn there, because if you do not pay attention to your own hand and what other players are doing, and that is a transferable skill that you can use elsewhere, not just, we're never going to have to fight monsters. Well, it depends. I'm from New York, so yeah, you got to fight monsters. But I'd say that there's something to learn from every game because every game in itself is a social experiment in some way. Nick's laughing at me. Like, so what are you thinking?
No, I was just imagining you trying to fight a subway rat.
I didn't say I'd win. I would say that I'm prepared to do that. So with Goose, it's been going on for about 3 years now. Where do we see it? And this is especially for Sophia, because you're the old head here, Nick. Where do you see it in 2 to 3 years? Like, what kind of impact do you think this club can make?
I want to hear what Nick has to say first.
No, Nick is not the president. It makes no difference what Nick has to say.
Seriously, I'm like, I don't know, I'm like a town councilman. You're the president.
Yeah. Where would you like to do with this club?
I think that one of the things Goose has going for it right now is the fact that we have a great diversity of people in the club, a lot of graduate students, a lot of undergraduate students, which was pretty surprising, I'm sure, for the graduate students here, and a lot of people from outside of Goose and from other organizations.
I barely graduated high school. Let's be honest, if it wasn't for a sports scholarship, I probably never would have gone to college.
I think that having game nights
not surprised.
with everybody, showing up is a great start. However, I think that we might want to focus on making more workshops and professional networking events in order to really reinforce those connections within the community.
Well, how would you go about doing that?
So I think that one of the things that we're starting to move in, after being around for 2-3 years, we're starting to get people who have come through Goose, been graduate students or undergraduate students here at Georgetown. They're moving out. They're starting to make their
Aren't you
impact.
one of them?
Myself, me.
Who else? Let me see who we have here.
We have
Kurt,
people
we got all
like
these.
Andrew Olson at CNA.
You got all these guys
here.
here.
A lot of people that are moving out, and they are starting to make their impact as professional wargamers. Those connections, they build upon each other, and I think as we start to kind of reach that critical capacity, it's going to be easier for us to more or less kind of create a professional pipeline for putting people that are interested in wargaming in contact with young professionals doing that, so they can see, hey, this is a legit thing that we can go out and do, not just as a hobbyist, but also as a professional.
So if I'm a Georgetown student or somebody that lives here, and I really don't want to go into government or become a professional wargamer, but I want to learn about game design, game creation, because I invented the next Here I Slay. Is Goose a good place for them to go as well?
Absolutely think so. I think that there's a lot of value in, even learning a specific kind of game, like how to design war games in particular. You can obviously apply that to other games because designing games is about abstract thought. And while making game theory and game design is a larger subset, I think that there's a lot of value in learning about specific mechanisms within war games that you can utilize and trying to apply that to other areas.
And I think that also that Goose offers a forum for young people who are interested in game design to interact with these designers in a very hands-on way.
Like
not
last
only
week,
have
Volko, right?
Volko hosting his Fire in the Lake
for
a group of graduate and undergraduate students as well as other members. We have our bi-weekly webinars where we have
I'm
practitioners
getting you guys
and game
some
designers.
speakers this year. Yeah, who's the one to talk to about the speaker series?
Oh, we'll talk to Sebastian about that.
Yeah, good luck.
Good
luck on that
reach out to anybody over at Georgetown Wargaming if you have something you want to impart to young wargamers. We're more than willing to help, and we can set that up.
So, open to all students, good for networking. If you live in the area, you don't really need to be a Georgetown student. So, there's a lot of goodness to do here. But, for this year, once again, back to Sophia, what are you going to do new this year that previous presidents, you were a president, weren't you, Nick? That didn't do. You're here, you're a sophomore, you may have 3 years left with these people. Where do you think this club needs to be by the time you graduate?
One of the things that, and not Nick specifically, but previous leadership sort of dropped the ball on was...
Oh, wow.
I'm going to turn around now, Sophia. You can take the knife out of my back anytime.
Wow. Lexi, I hope you're listening.
I'm so sorry, Lexi. I'm doing my best here. Creating a contact spreadsheet such that people can really look at who has been in Goose, who can they email, and how do they talk to people. Asking, young professionals, how do you build a resume? And can you teach others, your tips and tricks for interviews, so on and so forth?
Yeah. We worked with Andrew. You met him last week, right? Myself, Phil Bolger, we murderboarded him, getting him ready for his interview. And the thing is, as a guy that hires people, I've seen some horrible resumes, like bad resume. And I knew the people involved. These are people 15, 20 years, and they're horrible. And like, how do you write a good resume? So it's not just about having fun and designing, playing games. It's also about getting you ready in case you want to go into this.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of our effort this upcoming year is, while we've done a lot, we have had a lot of people reach out to us who are undergrads. It's mostly been an effort focused on recruiting graduate students, people who are maybe in their early career, coming back to school, want to maybe pivot. We're hoping to maybe, in particular, focus on reaching out to the undergraduates and having Sophia, who's an undergraduate leader and someone who's
how many clubs are you president of?
So I'm involved in the Board Games Club.
The Board Games Club. Okay, that's one.
The Buddhist Students Association.
That's one of my faves. Any others?
The Astronomical Society.
That's astronomically interesting.
I'm also involved in Catholic Women on Campus.
How does that measure out with the Buddhists?
It's interesting, actually. The Buddhist Students Association on campus has a history of being involved with other religious groups on campus, whether that be because of other people's interest in like Buddhism and meditation, or in the Buddhist Association's need to reach out and expand its demographics.
I was a Buddhist for about 3 years. So I'm going to segue to a funny joke. So this past week, in my day job, I actually ran a game for the Joint Force Chaplains. So it was the chaplains, the lead chaplain for every combatant command. And, chaplains are kind of it could be a rough crowd.
Never give them a mic. They'll talk forever.
Yes. I said there's going to be no pre-game prayer because we don't have that kind of time. So I started off with a joke. Would you guys like to hear the joke? Sure. On my intro? I said a group of chaplains assembled to play a war game, right? Which is, I'm in front of 20 chaplains. The Catholic chaplain says we use a 3-sided die for the Holy Trinity. The Georgian Orthodox, because the guy that I worked with, Navy Commander Alexander, great guy, Georgian Orthodox, we have a 9-sided die because we do the Holy Trinity 3 times. The Hindu priest said we use a 1-sided die and it's different every time. The Buddhist monk then said we use a marble because it doesn't make a difference. And then I said, and the wargamer who was running it said, I have a 100-sided die because at a war game I think I'm God. And I pulled out my 100-sided die, and they laughed. They thought it was funny. What do you guys think?
I think that's a good one.
Yeah, and I made so the beginning part was made up by guys in my office, and then I thought it was pretty good. Now you're a member of a lot of clubs that was consulted. You're not insulted, right?
Sorry?
You're not insulted by that
Oh,
joke.
no, absolutely not.
Okay. And you could use it, you just have to give us credit.
I'll steal it, for sure.
Yeah.
I might have to steal that one, too.
You want to hear the joke for the second day?
Sure.
I said, well, I was working on this game. Chaplain Alexander asked me what religion I was. And I said, well, I guess I could say I'm a Pentagon Quaker. I go to a lot of meetings, and I don't really seem to be doing much for national defense. So if you know anything about Quakerism, I think that one's right on.
That was a good one.
Yeah, you like that? And I thought of it walking down to the war game the next day. So it's just fun stuff. But yeah, if there was a great pipeline, and look, I know I've been cutting up here and I make fun of Sebastian a lot, but I really think that we need to get the younger, more diverse voices into wargaming. Guys like me have not had a good idea since like the late 80s. I'm not even going to ask, you were probably born this century, right?
2003.
I feel 1 foot in the grave.
What month?
June.
June. I was coming home from Iraq. Yeah, that's what I was doing. Right. So, yeah, but like, I'm not going to be doing this in 5 years. A podcast. In wargaming. I'm going to be doing something else. I'm going to be, sailing around the world. We need to get you guys into this and doing this in the future. And that's one thing I see Goose doing is getting that next generation in there. Now we just have to how to get them hired for government. But yeah, there we go.
That is the big issue, and I think that we are slowly but surely starting to figure out how to crack that code. You know,
Yeah.
getting people started early, getting them involved early in their Georgetown careers, make those connections, have those experiences
If you
that
send
they
me,
can point to.
If you send me a draft of your resume and a copy of something on USA Jobs, I will get you to the next level where they could hire you. I'm 100% with that. Don't look at me like that, Sophia, because your resume is going to be, but yeah, it's because, I've cracked that code. So, but yeah, I think these things are great. Anything that builds community, I think, is interesting. I've gone to these things for the last few years, and I've seen most of these people already. Even one or two of them I would consider friends, maybe. Not really. Let me see how many people in this room have been to my house. Two. And it's probably, that list is not going to get any bigger. No offense,
I have a
Nick.
standing invite
Nick.
to play games with you.
Yeah. Because when they redid my kitchen table, I said it had to be 4x4 so I can game on it. And it's great. The thing is, it's tiled all around. And his voice, I'm pointing at Sebastian, reverberates through the house. And my friends are like, who the hell you're torturing in there? And I go, well, unfortunately, I'm the one that's being tortured. But where can they find Goose? Where can they find you guys? If they're interested, if they just want to be kind of part of I think you guys have a Discord. How do we get the word out about this to get more connections within Goose? How do they find you guys?
So, first of all, I think that I should mention, if you're intimidated, don't be. There's a lot of grad students, a lot of undergrad students who are intimidated. Just email us, just shoot us an email.
Why would they be intimidated?
Well, I think that they see the word war and get scared that it's extremely intense, really scary, that they have to know the rules beforehand, and they don't,
Does Nick strike you as somebody intense?
In game, yes.
Really?
But
No.
I think he's a pushover in general.
I have to say, so I first met you last week. You're intense, my friend. You're very intense. Like, I'm not I'm intimidated.
Uh,
I don't bite, I swear.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that. That's why, look, I'm missing a thumb.
But back to your question, you can find Goose on most major platforms. We've got a YouTube channel with lots of our recordings of our various different talks that we've had people come give. We're active on Twitter, both our official account and through our leader and benefactor, Sebastian Bay.
Yeah, we need a coup d'etat.
We need a coup d'etat.
Really.
And if you're interested
and
if you are interested in getting more involved with Georgetown Wargaming at all, we have a website where you can sign up for our newsletter and get a part of our Discord.
Would you like me to include links at the bottom of the page?
I would love to. Yeah, drop those in the link.
Yeah. Come on out too. And then the thing about intimidation, I guess it's different for me and you. Some of these people actually do intimidate me because, looking at a room, I scan the room right away and I see who here could be a mass shooter. That's my thing. Or just the guy that doesn't shower very much. I look at that and maybe it's intimidating in its own way. But no, I am a big fan of what you guys are doing. Sophia, you got to keep this momentum up and make sure that this community grows. And Nick as well, man. Nick is every time I go on that Discord, what does it say? Senior mentor, alumni mentor.
Which as we're going to do, we'll just make up a role for when we need somebody to do something.
Right? Do you ever notice what it says by my name?
Nothing.
It says possibly retarded. Which I need to get tested. But no, I want to thank you guys for coming out for this. These are going to be going on every month at least. Come on out, roll some dice with these people. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. We look forward to having you, and please come out, reach out to us online, in person, however.
Yeah. Sophia, I'll let you wrap it up with your final thoughts.
Shoot us an email at guws@georgetown.edu if you would like to get our newsletter. It also has a link to our Discord in our newsletter each week. Come out. We have monthly events, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys on campus at Georgetown University.
Yeah. And we'll either be right back or turning back to Sean in the studio.
Thanks so much for joining the show tonight. Remember to follow us on Twitter at NoDiceNoGlory And keep the conversation going on NoDiceNoGlory.com, now featuring our own message boards. Have a great night, everybody.